Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to speak with you. And it's taken me a while because for the past days I have been going through a range of emotions, from crying really hard to being downright angry. My emotions got clarity when my brother sent me a speech that my niece just gave at her school to the class. And the speech was profound because she brought clarity for me, and I've encouraged her to share it and publish it because in it, she says many things. One, that she cried a lot, just like me. The second thing that she said, though, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said, we are seemingly coming to a monthly realization that Black lives are disposable and that our pleas for help fall on deaf ears. How profound. And she's exactly right. That's what it seems to be. As Black children, we are taught by our parents, when you get old enough to drive and you're pulled over by the police, do so in a safe space, preferably where there are other people around. Keep your hands on the wheel as a police officer approaches. Ask permission to move if you're asked to get your registration. And in fact, explain to the police officer exactly what you're going to do to get the registration. If you're going to lean over in the glove box, explain that to the officer. If you're going to reach for your visor, explain that to the officer. This is the reality of Black people in this country. But when we saw an African American man handcuffed, laid prone with a knee of a police officer at his neck, and we heard the words that we've heard before, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And that police officer not relent. That's where the tears begun. That's where the anger starts. Because you see, it was not snuffing out only the life of Mr. Floyd. We realize that that is symbolic of so much more. For me, I felt like he was snuffing out and suffocating the life and the promise and the vitality of our country. I want to tell you something. When I was a little girl, I was probably about 4 years old. I picked up a doll in the store and I brought it to my mother and I asked her to buy it, and my mother did. And as she was paying for the doll, the woman at the counter told my mother that she saw me try to steal the doll. When we left the store, I had to ask my mother, what does she mean I was trying to steal the doll? My mother explained to me that the woman behind the counter has a history of accusing Black children of stealing, and she had been working at that store since my mother was a child. You see, we have faced this for far too long as African Americans. I've had a cross burned in my car when I was a child, when my father was stationed in Georgia. How much more do we need to take? When are my brothers and sisters going to speak out? Not only speak out in the state legislature, not only speak out in newsletters, speak out when you hear people make racist comments. I have a lot of emotion going on right now, and it is terrifying to watch a murder in front of your eyes. And, you know, I realize that this officer is going to have a trial. But certainly, his supervisors realized what he did was wrong, and he was immediately dismissed, as well as the others who stood by. But when we talk as African Americans about institutional racism, when we say it is real, open your eyes. Think about Amy Cooper, who in Central Park told Mr. Cooper, "I'm going to call the police and tell them that an African American man is threatening my life." Why did she do that? She knew that the power of those declarations have with the police and the possible consequences for Mr. Cooper. Let us not be blind. If you do not know about the Central Park incident, open your eyes. Google it. Read a newspaper. Stand at a socially distanced, safe space, 6 feet apart, with a mask on, and ask your neighbor. I want to tell you, Mr. Floyd is not with us. And we are still here. My plea is that you do not allow this to dampen your spirit, whether you be black or white, Asian, whatever race you are. I'm going to persist on because my country was built on the backs of my ancestors. I am going to continue to vote because I believe in the power of our democracy. Our democracy gives me the ability to sit here and talk to you. But I want you to do a couple of things. Take care of yourself. Make sure you vote, and we made sure that we could do that and vote safely. We have the No Excuse absentee voting that I was proud to sponsor that will allow you to vote safely. And at this time of COVID, you need to take care of yourself and each other. But next time legislators talk about institutional racism, I will be very disappointed if someone responds that that is putting a knife in their back. What happened to Mr. Floyd, what happened to Mr. Cooper, what happened to Mr. Garner, and on and on and on, that's what we're talking about. A burning cross through my car, that's what we're talking about. People do these acts because they know that there are no consequences. They know that racism is tolerated. This cannot happen again. And when we talk about investment in our police, and when we talk about training, this is what we're talking about. Police officers are supposed to be the keepers of our Constitution. The First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. I can go on. Think about that. Do not allow what happened to snuff out, to suffocate our ability to correct the injustice. Take care of yourself and each other. God bless.